We're live in 2 minutes.
We are CRN.
Stay tuned. We're live in 1 minute. Seconds until showtime. Ten, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4.
Local radio brings people together like never before.
It's a beautiful hometown weekend out there. We've got
your local stations keep you informed and involved with music, talk shows, and real-time news updates you can trust. We are live and local. We are America's broadcasters, connecting you to what matters most. Text radio to 52886 and tell Congress to support your local radio stations.
Message and data rates may apply. You may receive up to 4 messages a month, and you may text STOP to STOP.
This message furnished by the National Association of Broadcasters.
This copyrighted telecast may not be reproduced, retransmitted, or used in any form without the authorized written consent. We hope you enjoy today's broadcast.
Since 2018, CRN, proud to be the voice of the Clayton Comets. The following is an exclusive broadcast presentation of the Community Radio Network. We are CRN.
Can you believe that football season is upon us again? The first game of the season and the quest for the defending Eastern Regional champions of North Carolina begins this Friday and Thursday night with JV and varsity football. Wilson Mills and Wilson Prep. Totally two different areas of the spectrum, but the Comets will prepare to play them for football. Tonight, Coach Scott Chadwick is back. We recap what was a very fun season last year and the hype and the build-up for this year. Coach Scott Chadwick will join us for just a half hour because he has to get back to football practice. Coach, welcome back. We're live for another edition, season number 4 consecutively, Comets Football Weekly, presented by Riverwild and Branching Out Automotive, on location at Vinson's Pub+Eatery. The crowd will grow as the season goes. Coach, welcome back for another year of football.
Very excited to be here. Thank you, Wilson.
Yes, and we are going to make some adjustments on your mic there. I think we will. And Kim Winslow is here as well. Kim, welcome back. I know you're ready for another season, ma'am.
I am, but I can't believe it's already that time.
It is. The year flew by, and I'll just say this. When I got involved in doing the Clayton Clovers collegiate baseball for the old North State League, I think our summer really went by quickly. But with that being said, though, Coach, you've had the boys grinding, right? They've been working the 2-a-days, the 3-a-days, the camps, the getting prepared for the new season. And there's a lot of excitement, by the way, for the new football year, which gets ready in less than 72 hours.
Uh-oh, you're going to get turned in for doing 3-a-days. Better clarify that.
I mean,
Well, that's just a football speech. There was no 2 or 3 days. I'm just messing. So
I think when you have the kind of season that we had last year, I think when you finish the way we did, playing for a state championship, I think there's going to be excitement coming into the following season. And, I think our guys have the right attitude, and that is we're not, complacent or satisfied with what we did last year. I think the guys feel like they really enjoyed what we did last year. They got to experience a lot of great things, and I think the feeling is more, hey, let's try to do that again. That was fun, and we got a lot of guys that had that experience, and hopefully it motivates them to want to have that opportunity again.
by the way, we want to welcome some new partners on the Clayton Touchdown Club as well as on Comets Football Weekly. This is segment number 1 of how it'll go. And remember, last year we went all the way from mid-August to mid-December, right before Christmas, whenever they went to the state championship game and of course, the final. But want to say thank you to ARS and Rescue Rooter. They have jumped on board as a sponsor this year. Lee Hyundai of Clayton. Hometown Realty is back for another year. And Barn Hill Construction. And speaking of Barn Hill Construction, my goodness, Coach, you gave me the opportunity the other day to pop in and look at practice and see how things were going. When people see the new Nixon Fowler Stadium, it would not be Comets Football Weekly with the train going by. The first train of many this year for our show every week here at Vinson's Pub and Eatery. Hopefully it's not a long one. But what I was saying, though, Coach, is that it is amazing the work that Barn Hill Construction and we have at the new stadium coming up.
Well, I think everybody's going to be really pleasantly surprised when they get there Friday and they see the tremendous upgrades we've got. The obvious ones when you go in, the new home bleachers, seating capacity increased tremendously. The press box is fabulous. I think we've got the biggest press box now, probably in the area. So those additions are obvious. The other ones that are going to be not as obvious right away. Last night we got to test out the LED lights.
I heard about that.
The flashing colored lights and
they are?
Yeah.
Everybody, it's just like Martinsville or Langley Speedway is what I was told.
You got seizure issues. You might want to be careful because they're pretty impressive. And the other thing is we put a brand new sound system in, and they were testing that out.
Hallelujah.
I guess Friday they were testing it out during school, and I mean it literally sounds like a college stadium in there now. So
people will actually hear Robbie.
Testing.
Absolutely, it's fabulous. So I think all of those things combined, we got a new scoreboard in the one end zone. I just think all around the improvements that have been made to the stadium, obviously for the kids, it's going to be great.
Yes.
But I think for anybody that comes on a Friday night, their Friday night experience is going to be a lot better by being there as well.
Absolutely. I saw you raise your hand in the audience. Do you have a question? Here, come here. Borrow my headset. You borrow my headset. Go ahead. We weren't thinking it's going to be open mic night.
Go ahead.
Are you ever going to bring back previous players to continue what happened during championship years and so on and so forth? Some have developed into D1 scholarships and stuff like that. Are you ever going to bring back those previous players?
So I know.
Do you want to repeat the question,
okay,
Wesley? Or
so the question
he was asking about bringing back former players.
Yeah,
and I think one time last year the home game after the day after Thanksgiving, we made a big effort to because obviously people are going to be home for Thanksgiving. We actually put all the former players in a special area in the back of the end zone. So I think that was a time where we actually made a concerted effort to put them together. Other than that, anybody, and it's a little bit harder the guys that haven't played for me because I don't have the same relationship.
Right.
But all the guys that played for me, anytime they come around, we obviously welcome them back. I think, what are we looking at, 86, so 89? I know we probably at some point will honor that group. But I think there was also talk about next year. I think it was the 2017 team that was undefeated in the regular season. In 2027, maybe doing a 10-year thing for them.
Well, I got to tell you, and Kim and Mark and Robbie and myself and all of our crew, we were already covering the state championships at Keenan Stadium, the home of the Tar Heels, last December, as you know. But to get goosebumps when Clayton come out on that field, Kim, and you were down there on the sideline as an all-state sideline reporter, it just made it so much more special.
It was extremely exciting.
Yes.
I want to do it again.
So, Coach, obviously playing Wilson Prep again for a second year in a row. Here's a team that won their first ever state championship in 1A football. They beat, obviously, Robbinsville 9-8 in that game, and that was their first time ever in the state championships, Coach. And remember, we played them in the opening game of the year. You beat them at Clayton 52-12, and beat it by a field goal by a team that normally does not kick field goals, might I add, and that was the deciding final of a 9-8 game. That started what was the coverage of the state championships. Coach, what's the reason of bringing back the Wilson Prep Tigers and playing them again for the lid lifter?
You know, when the state went to the RPI being the sole determinant factor when it comes to playoffs,
sure.
You know, at that point, you know, you got to go out and schedule teams that are going to win a lot of games, because, you know, your RPI, your strength of schedule, becomes so important. So, you know, that was one of the reasons we scheduled them. You know, if you look at the non-conference schedule, that's what we did. We tried to schedule teams that have good records so that it helps our RPI. I think in Wilson Prep's case, the other part of that for us was, you know, knowing that they don't really have a home field, it was an opportunity for us to put ourselves in a situation where we got 2 home games out of it. And, you know, so we ended up getting an extra home game by playing them.
Yes.
I have a question. You know, we were just talking about the playoffs, and then you're talking about RPI and strength of schedule. You know, going through the playoffs, people talk about how much of a grind it is, because you're not just playing good teams every week in the playoffs. You're playing great teams. But when you look at the regular season schedule this year, I think 9 teams are projected playoff teams. Granted, it's early projection, but when you look at, and obviously we've talked about the strength of this Greater Neuse River Conference itself, but 6 out of the 9 projected playoff teams are all projected as top 10 seeds across. How do you maintain and get the kids ready there is no week off? And mentally and physically.
It's a cliche, but it's absolutely the truth. And that is, you literally just take everything 1 week at a time. You take the team that's in front of you. You worry about that week. You don't look ahead to this game or that game. You literally just have to take everything 1 week at a time. Focus on that week. Focus on what you'll need to do to be ready that Friday night for that team. And then you redo it Saturday and, you know, come back up and do it next week. You know, I talked to my coaches today about the fact that, you know, I would say practice this week, you know, from a intensity, from a volume, is probably less than what it usually is. And part of that's because we've been doing this since, you know, however long. I think we're about 20 some practices in right now. So, you know, we're ready to play a game right now. Now, next week, you know, that probably totally changes. You know, the volume and the amount of time you're putting in probably goes back up next week, because after you've played a game, now you've got to change up the things that you've done. So I think it's just a matter of, again, each week taking things 1 week at a time.
And talk a little bit about the Greater Neuse River Conference. You know, there's a lot of really good conferences that are heavy at the top, but top to bottom, I mean, it is a grind. It has to be one of the best conferences top to bottom in the state.
I think the easiest way you say it is South Garner finished 5th in our conference last year. 5th. They had a guy sign with Georgia and a guy sign with Notre Dame. They won a first-round playoff game on the road by 50. They finished 5th in our conference last year. So, you know, I think that, you know, in and of itself speaks volumes. Nobody in our conference last year lost a playoff game to somebody that wasn't in our conference, except when Garner lost to Gibbons on that last second field goal. Every other team that was in our conference lost to somebody that was in our conference in a playoff game.
And 3 out of the last 4 standing were all from
3 out of the
Frederick.
last 4 in the 7A East were teams from our conference.
That's just impressive.
Hey, by the way, we want to say thank you to Riverwild. Again, they have jumped on board to sponsor Comets Football Weekly here for the season. And obviously, the Clayton Touchdown Club building a lot of momentum, getting a lot of more sponsors. And if you're interested as we are getting closer to the start of the season, please reach out to Robbie Worrell, Mark Coates, Amy, Kim, somebody with the Clayton Football Touchdown Club. They'd love to help you. Coach, I don't want to jump off subject of varsity, but let's talk about JV. Thursday's a pretty special game. Comets will lace up and play at Wilson Mills. This is a new high school. I got a feeling that this in time will become a new rivalry. The Green Wave and the Comets, how excited are the JV Clayton squad ready to play a new football team?
Well, I think just like, everybody else, they've been practicing for a while. And I thought, we had great attendance in the summer from our freshman group. We actually started a week early in the summer with the freshmen. We brought them in that first week to kind of get them acclimated. But they've been great. They've been a great group so far, and mixing them in with, the sophomores. It's a really good group to work with. I think they'll go out and play very well on Thursday, and I'm excited to see some of them actually play in a game situation. Most of our sophomores are on the JV. We only have 3 sophomores on the varsity right now. And, we will dress, I think, 82 kids maybe on Thursday night, and probably dress another 80 on Friday. So I keep hearing all this talk about the numbers in football being down.
And some schools not having varsity teams this year.
Not here. We are fully stocked.
Ready to go for another season.
Can I ask a question about the offense? The past several years, there was Jonathan Montague, then obviously 2 years, Aiden Smalls. Very similar styles as far as running quarterback and kind of putting the team on their back. Got a new look from quarterback this year. Talk a little bit about that and how different the offense might look. And then also on the offense, a lot of the production from the receivers have graduated. But there's been some guys that have been kind of biding their time. So talk a little bit about what we can expect from the offense this year.
Well, I think, again, when you start at the quarterback spot, you have a guy like Aiden that's done what he's done the last 2 years. You don't replace an Aiden Smalls. You just move on, and you don't ask people to be Aiden Smalls. You ask them to be themselves, and it's our job as coaches to look at what they do best and put them in that situation. Damasio Cueto transferred here in January from Leesville Road. He is a phenomenal young man. He's a great kid. He's been a great leader for us. And he's different than Aiden and John. He's not a, run first guy. He's a pass first guy. He's a traditional, drop back pocket passer. I do think it's kind of funny. My son showed me something the other day that someone mentioned, well, what's Chadwick going to do without the, these run first quarterbacks that he's had the last couple of years? I think if you go back in my career and look at my history of quarterbacks, I've done okay with guys that were pass first guys. So I'm not too worried about that. And, so it'll look a little different. But Damasio throws it as good as anybody we've had since I've been here. And then I'll be honest with you, Eli Bagley has had a great summer. He's had a great summer, and he gives
us the JV quarterback.
So Bags is ready,
and he gives us another really, really good option back there. So I feel like we've got a couple of solid options. When you talk about the receivers, we did graduate most of the production, but we're really confident in the group of guys we have out there that, like you said, they've bided their time. They've been in the, Braden Probst has been in the program 4 years. Samaj Richardson's been in the program 4 years. Rashad Drake's been in the program 4 years. So, you're talking about a bunch of guys that understand the offense, that know what we're doing, and have patiently waited for their opportunity. And I fully expect they're going to have great years. Austin Dalton was a starter for us at receiver last year. And probably the wild card, Gavin Roberts, who came over from West Johnston and was the conference and regional champion in the 100-meter dash last spring as a sophomore.
Got a little speed.
Got speed,
legitimately will be one of the fastest kids in the state. So he's going to be a big weapon for us. And so, you know, we have different guys there, but I think it's a group that's going to have a very productive year. You know, the other one, you know, you lose River, who was such a integral part of everything we did in the run game and in the pass game. And River was so good, it's going to take like a couple of different guys to kind of fill what he does. You know, whether it be certainly Braden Price is going to be the main target there at receiver, but, you know, Dylan Williams, Michael Alvarez, our boy Eduardo Furtado. Those guys are going to get some opportunities at the tight end spot. But, you know, the other thing, we feel really good about the guys up front. You know, I think Nick Capozzi is one of the better tackles in the area. You know, Wesson Barr started every game last year. Israel Bush was probably one of our best offensive linemen in our program early in his career, but had to go transfer back home to Rhode Island. He's back now. And then we got a couple of young guys. You got Leary Snipes, who's been in the program, and we're going to start Sean Melvin, who's a sophomore at right tackle. And, you know, the good thing for Sean is he started every game last year as a freshman on the lacrosse team. So he's used to being, you know, out there with the big guys.
And some of the names that I see as well that are returners are coming back. Obviously, Terrace Hobbs, coach, in the running back spot, the senior, obviously number 5. Injuries last year.
I forgot about Terrace.
Yeah, ready to see what he'll do.
I think Terrace is a guy that is really ready to kind of take the next step and and maybe become that go-to guy for us. And you know, again, we were fortunate to get Blake Beckwith from Corinth. And he's another guy that's going to get a ton of carries for us this year. They're really a 1-2 punch, which we need because probably the most, you know, discouraging or disappointing thing that's happened was, you know, losing KK Rogers with the ACL tear early in the summer was just a huge blow to us, certainly to him. But
he really flashed as a freshman.
No question. No question. So that was a huge blow to lose him.
Well, then we always know running backs get hurt. Is there depth behind, or do we need those guys to stay healthy?
I think we're you know, Dorian Chadwick.
Oh, right.
No relation.
Right.
No relation. No relation.
Is
yes.
a
Jalen
sophomore
Chadwick,
who played a considerable amount on the JV for us last year. Is a guy that's had a really good preseason. You know, Isaiah Jackson got a ton of carries on the JV last year. He's there. We have Zayden Crenshaw, who, you know, didn't play last year, but is back as a senior. So we got really, really good depth there. So
when you talked about Terrace and Beckwith being a kind of a 1-2 punch, they got different running styles. Like, is one more of a power,
no,
one
Terrace,
more shifty?
Terrace is more the shifty speed guy. Blake's a little more downhill, kind of, you know, physical, more downhill physical guy.
Yeah, I'm excited to see him on one of the scrimmages when they had the highlights. I looked, I said, who is 35? A lot of highlights
Scored
in that
4
scrimmage.
touchdowns in that scrimmage, as a matter of fact. Yeah.
Yeah, and by the way, what some other players returning, Braden Probst, wide receiver, Samaj Richardson ready to step up, Nick Capozzi, Wesson Barth, just some of the names that I can remember from the roster of last year. And Coach, there was a text that you sent me this morning, as a matter of fact, Amari Givens, Jordan Ham, Caden Blackwell, A.K. Cramel, just some of the names that are returning. And one of the things you said to me via text this morning, Coach, was we've got new players, we've got returners, we've got some players that maybe didn't get a chance to play that much last year, but now this is their opportunity to step up and show why they want to represent the C.
Well, and that's the case certainly with the offense, but defensively, I think that's why we're going to rely on our defense so much, because so many of those guys have played. You know, we're extremely fortunate to bring back, you know, 8, 9 starters, however many you say, on, you know, on our defense. You've got, you know, I think what you said, you got Jordan Ham, who was I think second on the team in tackles last year, or sacks last year. You've got, Caden Blackwell, who's been on the varsity 3 years, led the team in sacks last year. Zion Mosley, who was a big part of the defensive line last year. And then, we were able to get C.J. Dickerson from Hunt, who had, I think, almost 30 tackles for loss at Hunt last year. And he's going to step into the spot where Keyshawn was. All of our linebackers are back. Amari Gibbons, Mason Bucklad, Jamari Houston, again, Jordan Ham. Those guys are all back. Every one of our linebackers from last year is back. And except for Charles Smith, our entire secondary is back.
Wow.
AK is going to be a 4-year starter. I sat and was talking to Pat Welcher at WRAL last night. In my 26 year of being a head coach, he's only the third kid I've ever had that started from day one as a freshman, which is pretty tremendous. Tayshawn Walker's a 3-year starter back there. Daniel Lovelace started every game last year. Malachi Burke started every game last year. Jaheim Stevenson didn't start games last year, but had 8 tackles and an interception in the state championship game. So it's in a very, very experienced defense that I'm expecting is going to be a very good defense.
You mentioned Jaheim Stevenson. I was at the scrimmage last Friday, and I said, who is 26? He's not a big guy, but he hits hard.
He's extremely physical, plays downhill. And you saw that.
And then I remembered the interception in the state championship game.
So, again, and while the offense is trying to kind of find itself a little bit early in the season, the defense is going to carry us. And I'd also be remiss, we're also very fortunate. I think we got one of the best kickers in the state. Nate Lunger. Had some, maybe some struggles last year at times, but he's had a phenomenal offseason. He's been great in practice. He's been a real standout for us in practice as a punter and as a kicker. And I think he is a guy that's going to be a huge, huge weapon for us this year in the kicking game, which, I think that's going to be a weapon that a lot of people just aren't going to have.
But even in the kicking game, one of the integral positions that doesn't get a lot of attention unless something goes wrong is long snapper. And River, I believe, did a lot of long snapping. So do we have another long snapper?
Caden Barber, one of our linebackers, has gone out and took that role on, took it on in the offseason, worked at it, made himself a long snapper, and I think he's going to do a great job for us. He's a great kid that works hard and really took that and owned it, and I think he's going to do a great job for us.
You mentioned Damasio being a great leader. You always pride the program on the leadership council. Do you have those people identified?
I've been with those, working with those guys all off season. Again, training them to be leaders. I would say Tayshawn Walker is certainly one of the top guys in that group. Amari Givens, Damasio, like I said, he's come in and just become a great leader for us. Nick Capozzi. There's a group of about 14 of them. Wesson Barth.
Yeah, he was injured last year, wasn't he? And came back and.
Nick Capozzi, as tough a guy as there was in the playoffs last year.
Yeah. I was actually speaking of, I think it was Weston Barth. I think he had a concussion.
He did late in the season.
A lot of returning players for sure.
I know you have to get ready to go.
Yeah, I was going to say, Coach, we don't want to hold you up much longer.
Can I ask one more question?
Yeah, go ahead, Kim.
Just because I know a lot of people are wondering, right now the forecast for Friday shows rain. We have the turf field, and it's got great drainage, but if there's thunderstorms, I know some people have moved games.
That's the first thing I texted him this morning.
No, we're still on schedule for 7:30. Okay, I want to make sure people know.
We're not moving it. I think that's the advantage of having turf is that as long as it's not lightning and thunder, as long as it's not raining, you're not. And I understand what a lot of people are doing. Even if it's not raining. If it rains all day Friday, even if it's not raining Friday night,
terrible.
your field's messed up in week 1. You don't want to tear your field up the first week of the season.
Sure.
We don't have to worry about that. We don't worry about that because we have turf. And I think it's one of the big advantages, again, of having turf.
And it does drain well. And you played on turf last Friday, but something seemed different. There was a lot of people slipping. Is that a different type of turf, or
It was a bad turf.
I was going to say
Yeah,
it just
was
looked
bad.
like everybody was, and I don't.
Yeah.
I know it gets a little bit slick when it rains, but I don't remember it being that
No,
slick.
it was not a very quality turf.
Well, we got to let the coach go. Coming up in our second segment, it will be very, very quickly. Kim and myself will go over the schedule for what's to come for the season, some key games, some key matchups. But right now, Coach Scott Chadwick has got to head back to football practice at Nixon Fowler Stadium. Coach, thank you for your
Thank
time.
y'all.
Welcome back
Appreciate
for
it.
another
Thank
year.
you.
And we are going to take a break. When we come back, we are going to preview the schedule and more. Coach Scott Chadwick gets ready to head back to practice. Don't forget, Thursday, JV, first time ever against the Wilson Mills Green Wave. That'll be live on CRN with Kim, Ryan, and myself from Wilson Mills. A new school, a new JoCo battle for Clayton. And of course, varsity football kicks off for Friday Night Lights at Nixon Fowler Stadium against the Wilson Prep Tigers, the defending 1A state champions. Coach is heading back to practice. Thank you for your time, and we are back to talk schedule next.
Listen up, get tight.
This is the most important timeout I've ever called.
Things are getting out of control out there, and we need to regroup.
Hate.
Hate is winning out there.
Not on these fields.
In our communities. On our streets. In our schools.
And we need to stop it.
So let's take this moment
To change the momentum.
and call a timeout.
On hate. Together. Together.
Branching Out Automotive, located in Vinson off NC 210, is the place to go for all of your automotive repairs and needs. From the small repairs to the major fixes, like engine and transmission repair, to rear ends and tune-ups, to spark plugs being fixed, oil changes, batteries, and so much more. Branching Out Automotive is also available for wrecker service. If your vehicle gets stranded on the side of the road, let them pick up and tow your car, truck, SUV, motorcycle, or anything that breaks down back to Branching Out Automotive for quick, convenient, quality service. Located at 1112 68 NC 210. Contact Branching Out Automotive today at 919-934-7568. And have my great friends Angela, Brandon, Joey, and Reed service all of your needs to get you back on the road. Tell them CRN sent you. Branching Out Automotive. Follow them also on Facebook. Vinson's Pub and Eatery on 800 East Main Street has been a go-to destination for the Clayton Comets community and everybody of Seatown. Vinson's Pub and Eatery takes care of all of your food and beverage needs for weekly specials, appetizers, burgers, sandwiches, the entrees, the Vinson special salads. Hey, you like the desserts? I do too. Side desserts, delicious beverages from soda products, sweet tea, and yes, even your adult beverages. Big screen televisions cover all the action with your favorite sporting events. And the home of Comets Football Weekly every Tuesday night from Vinson's Pub and Eatery. 800 East Main Street. Tell them the Community Radio Network sent you. Vinson's Pub and Eatery. Good food, good fun, and go Comets!
Stacy! I'm the sizzle of this promposal. Tonight, sparks are gonna fly.
Hey, Stacy! Kyle?
And while Romeo over here is trying to look cool, things are about to heat up.
Uh-oh. Darn it, Kyle!
And if you don't have the right home insurance coverage, you can end up paying for this yourself.
Sorry, Mr. Sanchez.
Really?
So get Allstate and be better protected from mayhem, like me. That's a hard note.
We bleed blue and white. You're listening to the Clayton Comets Audio Network, powered by CRN.
We're back. Thank you for joining us on location at Vinson's Pub+Eatery. Love this place. Main Street, 4th consecutive year that we've been here. Thank you to Angie, Caroline, all the amazing staff. And we also want to thank River Wild and Branching Out Automotive for sponsoring Comets Football Weekly, as well as a lot of coverage on CRN this year. They're located on 210. You need anything done from your spark plugs being fixed to a battery to an issue on the side of the road. They got towing. They took care of me. They'll take care of you. Hello to Brandon and Reed and everybody, Joey, Angie, everybody in Branching Out Automotive. We got some other sponsors, Kim, that we got to mention. I've always wanted to do this. ARS and Rescue Rooter. So coming soon, we'll have the commercial for that. Lee Hyundai of Clayton, Hometown Realty, and Barnhill Construction. Everything that you're seeing with the new stuff at the football stadium and the new Clayton High School now in its 125th season. Did you know that, Kim? This year is the 125th year of Clayton High School. It's all done by Barnhill. Oh, wait a minute. Wrong one. There you go. You still kept your headset. I thought you changed.
Oh, no, I kept mine.
There you go. So a fun season, though, Kim. Are you what game, per se, are you looking forward to on the schedule?
Well, as Coach said, the next one. Because, again, when you look at that schedule, and I think it fits well with how the playoffs are structured, based on RPI, not just, they seed everybody as conference champs first, but it helps somebody conference like the Greater Neuse River. When you're that deep, you can have that many teams in the top 10 and get home games that, when you have earned it. And every week is going to be a gauntlet. We might say, oh, well, Wilson Prep is a 1A team. But if you remember watching that game late into the second quarter, it was 24-12.
That's right.
And at one point it was 10-0. It should have been 10-7, or as we've learned, they don't go for extra points. So 10-6 or 10-8, but they had a turnover. Comets converted. And then late in the last couple minutes of the second quarter, that's when Clayton blew it wide open. And, a lot of it was because of depth with Wilson Prep. They're a smaller program. Obviously, they're 1A, and a lot of their guys went both ways.
Yeah, they played both offense and defense, special teams, you name it. Yes, they did.
As Coach said, when you got 70 or 80 players, you can get fresh bodies out there constantly, and it just kind of wore them down. But they were an excellent team and put up a fight, or gave Clayton a fight, but they just didn't have the depth to hang. So it's going to be an excellent program. They will go on to they're projected to be the top team in the 1A East again, so that will certainly help RPI. And then you roll to who's next? Southern Nash or Hoggard next? Southern Nash.
Southern Nash, and that is the famed wing T offense. And it will be at Southern Nash this year. And Kim, we went to Southern Nash last year for a JV football game, if you remember. That's a very nice place in Bailey, North Carolina.
And we'll
see what they do when we play them.
We have a very famous alum from Southern Nash.
We do. Miss Amy Coates, ready? Okay, Wesley, I'm done now. Miss Amy is back, and look to see what she does. Hey, by the way, I'm going to let everybody know real quickly, the Clayton Touchdown Club is trying to prepare for a golf tournament in October. Kim, if you want to give some of the details on that, I know that's something we're working on.
I don't have details.
Okay, but I know it was scheduled for July 31st. They've rescheduled it for October. If you are interested and you want to help out.
We don't have a date yet.
No date yet to be announced. So there you go.
So we'll just.
So if you want to help out, just reach out to the Clayton Touchdown Club. I know we've already got some sponsors here. River Wild, also ARS Rescue Rooter, Lee Hyundai, Hometown Realty, Barnhill Construction, just some of the sponsors that have stepped up. And but Kim, we talked about the schedule, and listen to this. Clayton will try to win 10-plus games for the 4th straight year for the first time ever in school history.
But it is going to be a challenge. Again,
it'll be a gauntlet.
We talked about Southern Nash is next on the list. They're projected to be a top 10 team in the 5A.
Yes. Hoggard.
And then you got Hoggard coming in. They're projected to be the number 2 in 8A.
Yes. And that's a game that you and Robbie and Mark and Amy covered down in Wilmington last year. And I think that was the turnaround, the humbling experience, I think is what Coach Chadwick said. And they knew they needed to do some things differently. And then that's kind of how the ball got rolling.
Yeah, it was a completely different team after that. I think that was a long bus ride home, deservedly so. That was not the Clayton team that we were used to seeing.
Yes.
And I know they were extremely, but again, that's why you play those games. You don't want to just play teams that you can beat easily. But then you play West Johnston. They're a 3A team, I believe.
And that will be back at home
or
at
6A.
Clayton because
they're
we
6A.
played there last year. So
correct.
Basically, the first 4 games of non-Kent conference, 3 will be at home.
Yes.
1 is on the road.
And then the gauntlet starts.
Yes.
Of conference schedule.
Yes, and by the way, speaking of the gauntlet, strength of schedule, 6 of the teams in the Greater Neuse River were in the playoffs, and they all advanced to the 3rd round in state last year. That's pretty impressive if you look at that. Obviously, Clayton is now 23-1 in their last 24 home games. Think about that. In 24 games, Kim, Clayton's only lost 1 game of 24. They're 23-1. That's a pretty good stat.
The problem is we all remember that one.
We do.
4 seconds.
And then we got it back last year on Halloween night.
But going into that conference schedule, the projections have Clayton kind of ranked 3rd in the conference behind Southeast Raleigh and Garner.
Yes.
But they're all just right there, boom, 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 behind each other. So it is going to be a stretch. And then Cleveland right behind Clayton. So,
but Kim, it's funny you mention Southeast Raleigh and Garner. Let's go back to last year, if you will. If not, I'll take you on that little journey. It was a loss at Southeast Raleigh. A game that even Mark and Robbie in the booth said with me, Wesley, we should have won that game. We ourselves cost us that game. You get redemption back on Southeast Raleigh in the 3rd round of the playoffs.
Hey, if you're going to win one, that was the one to win.
And then Garner was another prime example. We were down by 2 touchdowns, Kim, against Garner when we were on the road last October. And then that was the game where everything turned around. And then the momentum really switched to go towards a state championship.
Yeah, and it's that gauntlet that you play week in and week out that prepares you for the playoffs. Some teams want an easy schedule so they can, get that record, but with the way the seedings are now in the RPI, you want that strength of schedule.
Yes.
You want to be battle tested. But again, it's keeping the players focused. Don't look to a game further down the schedule. You got to focus on the one that's right in front of you because every game's going to need your full attention. The thing you're worried about is, with those games, they're going to be contested. You got to have your best players out there all the time. And injuries are going to happen. They're going to get tired. They're going to get worn down. And they're really going to have to focus on how they take care of their body, how they hydrate. And that's where the training staff's going to come in.
You're exactly right. Yes, ma'am. And I will throw this out there. Last year, the bye week was the week before the big game against Cleveland. This year, the bye week will be on October the 16th. That is right after South Garner, and that is before Garner and Cleveland to end the regular season on October 23rd and October 30th. Now, the final game for home will be against Garner, and then, of course, we travel to Cleveland at John Jacobs Stadium on October 30th. But here's the key, and we've talked about this before. We know there's a new way that they do the format for the playoffs and how everything is done. You want to run the table. You want to be the regular season champions, Kim, because if you can do that, you get a first-round bye. You get that first-round bye, and then that
you just
helps
have to be
you catapult to having some home games.
Top 8 in the seeding.
That's
to
right.
Get that first-round bye, and then – obviously, the higher the seed, the more home games you get to play.
Yes.
And that's what I think Coach Chadwick has made that comment. They play so well at home. You just talked about their record at home. So the more playoff games you can have at home, the better.
Yes, and some of those important games that we mentioned, obviously, this Friday night, Wilson Prep, Southern Nash on the road next week, Hoggard, West Johnston. The first 2 games are home and away, home for the final 2 games of non-conference between the Hoggard Vikings and the West Johnston Wildcats. Fuquay Arena, the Bengals will host us for conference opener on September the 18th. September 25th, we host the Triple S Spartans. October the 2nd, we host the Southeast Raleigh Bulldogs. That will also be homecoming night. I want to throw that out there. Homecoming night will be on October the 2nd. October the 9th, we play against South Garner at South Garner. October the 16th, it is a bye. The 23rd, Garner at home. And the final game of the regular season, October 30th, against the Cleveland Rams. A long way to go. But, Kim, we know it's really not a long way to go. This season will fly by as fast as it starts.
Yeah, and I just hope we can extend that season as long as possible.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, that is going to do it for episode number 1 for 2026. Comets Football Weekly presented by River Wild and Branching Out Automotive. Thank you also to fine sponsors like the North Carolina High School Athletic Association, the North Carolina Association of Broadcasters, the National Association of Broadcasters, Allstate. Thank you also to Wake County Speedway, Clayton Peanut Company, Clayton Clovers. Thank you also to, also big thank you to these sponsors that are scrolling. Truex Pest Control. Want to send a big thank you in addition to ARS Rescue Rooter. They are a sponsor. We could not do it without them. They're a new sponsor we have. Lee Hyundai of Clayton, Hometown Realty. And I do want to mention Will Coates. He's actually jumped on board and he's a new Hometown Realty agent. He's also jumped on board to be the halftime sponsor for CRN's coverage of Comets football this year. Had a nice conversation with him down on the field last Wednesday afternoon. And in addition to promoting Hometown Realty, Will Coates as well, his Branching Out Realty service. Want to send a big thank you to him as well as Barnhill Construction. Kim, those look like some nice shrimp tacos. Well, ladies and gentlemen, Kim's getting out of here. Coach Chadwick's already out of here. Everybody is whining and dining at Vinson's Pub+Eatery. Oh, and by the way, I need to mention as well, this will be the post-game destination after all home games on Friday night. So after you see the game and Clayton win over Wilson Prep, come on out here to Vinson's Pub+Eatery. They'll stay open late on Friday night for Comets football home games. As always, thank you to Melissa Hubbard, John Asmussen, Joe Mott, Daniel Ward, of course, Shantae Woodard, everybody that is involved with the boosters. For Coach Scott Chadwick, for Kim Winslow, I'm Wesley Outland. Football is back. The fall is back. As always, enjoy it and go Comets.
This copyrighted telecast may not be reproduced, retransmitted, or used in any form without the authorized written consent. We hope you enjoyed today's broadcast.
Good morning, guys. I just want to warn you, traffic is tough out there.
We are here for you to tell you how to keep safe,
Everybody who is listening needs to take cover as soon as they can.
to provide the music, talk, and sports you love, and to deliver the news that matters to you. We are the voices you can trust. We are live and local. We are America's broadcasters. Text radio to 52886 and tell Congress you depend on your local radio stations.
Message and data rates may apply. You may receive up to 4 messages a month, and you may text STOP to stop.
This message furnished by the National Association of Broadcasters.
Like, follow, and share the Community Radio Network via social media and Facebook at CRN Community Radio Network. Also, check us out on X, Instagram, and TikTok at CRN Sports. As always, remember to listen to the games live on your radio dial at 87.9 FM and anywhere worldwide, always at wearecrn.com. This is CRN, the Community Radio Network. Comets Country, we proudly bleed blue and white. We now pause for station identification on the Clayton Comets Audio Network, powered by CRN. This is the Community Radio Network, WCRN, 87.9 FM, Clayton, Garner, Smithfield, North Carolina. Proud to be in the USA. We are CRN.